Well, there we have it, everyone. Another victory for Spurs. So 2 games in so far, 2 1-0 victories. That's 2 clean sheets that we have with not what we expect to be our first choice defence for the season going forward. Hopefully we can get another one over the line before the window shuts. But look, it's not the best performances that we're going to have this season. Man City, certainly, it was a difficult game. They're on top straight away from the beginning. When we grew into the game, they couldn't really handle our counter-attacking style of football. And then Wolves today, look, it's always a hard game against Wolves at Molineux. They're not a bad side. They just had a very indifferent season last season, as many of us did, because of COVID. It's what it is at the end of the day. Certainly not our best performance at all. We were on the back foot for large periods of the game. But look, we soaked up the pressure. We did some good things, and it's the most important thing is that we got the 3 points at the end of the day. So, I'm not going to be overcritical. We're just going to talk through a few things about the game, all right? So, if you're new to the channel, welcome along, and if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button to show your support. You can also like the video as well, and do leave your comments as always. I will get back to you. If I can, mostly do. We have some good conversations going. There's a few regular commenters out there. So let's just run through the lineup that we had. It was the same 11 that started against Manchester City. So Hugo in goal, Tanganga and Reguilon in the left and right back. And then in the middle, Sanchez and Dyer. Skippy and Højbjerg next to each other again, with Højbjerg sitting on the right of the two again, which I still don't think is the best place for him. I much prefer him mopping up on the left, but there's obviously reasoning behind that. Then Dele, Mora and Bergwijn with Son through the middle. The subs that were used, Lo Celso came on, Harry Kane made it onto the pitch, and then right at the end, Winksy made a tiny cameo. The subs that weren't used, Galini, Doherty, Sessegnon, Davies, Hill and Dane Scarlett. So, for the game, it was, Wolves, they are really, really a well-organised outfit, and as I thought they would do for large periods of the game, when we had the ball, certainly, they had the 5 at the back. They were very quick to close down. There was a lot of pressing going on. Defensively, they were very organised, and that's not just the defence itself, but the midfield were very organised at getting back, bodies behind the ball, pressing up on the players that they needed to. Defence, very, very organised. They were very capable of switching from a back 4 then into a back 5 at times that they needed to. They were always very well organised defensively, not just under Nuno, but certainly now as well. That has continued with the players that they've got. So if we just talk through our players, Hugo didn't really have a lot to do, despite the fact that Wolves were on top of us for large periods of the game. Hugo didn't really have anything to do, to be honest. His 300th appearance. But all he really had to do was sort of that one-on-one situation with Adama Traore when he come bursting through. Hugo did very well to get himself out there, made a fantastic save, spread his body well. Adama Traore is not the best at finishing, which we saw at several points in the game. There was one early on in the game where he was outside on the left, went past Tanganga, cut inside onto his right foot and absolutely sliced it miles away. But this time he come through and it wasn't actually the worst attempt. He was certainly on target. Hugo just made himself big, rushed out, he made the save. And that's what you get from a top goalkeeper. They've got to keep their concentration, and he hasn't made 300 appearances for the club for no reason. Now, Japhet Tanganga, there was an early clash of heads that he had that was a little bit worrying, but he come through that absolutely fine. Had a lot of tussles with Adama Traore. He did pick up a yellow card before the break. That was for a challenge on Marcel. And, he did well, despite, and the fact that he had to play the whole second half with a booking. I think he did very well. We know he's a bit feisty. In the Man City game, he probably should have received booking earlier, but, I think the referees are letting more go now, like we saw in the Euros, which is a good thing for the game because, let's face it, it's a contact sport that had kind of almost been turned into a non-contact sport in the Premier League in certain parts of Europe. But it'd be nice to see us back where the game should be. So yeah, Tanganga did okay again. Davinson Sanchez. I actually got a message from my brother saying that, he's not very good and why is he starting? And Sanchez annoys me at times. He has these iffy moments, and he had one again. What was it? After the quarter hour mark, he went sliding in, and then it hit his knee, and then ended up running behind for Raul Jimenez. But luckily, he was offside, and his shot was deflected wide anyway, so it didn't matter. However, he actually defended quite well for the majority of the game, other than his sort of shaky start. But, I mean, we're not the best starters in games anyway. I've said this time and time again. We tend to start quite slowly. We did okay, actually, early on in this game. But, I mean, our defence was a bit shakier early on, which is normal for us. And Sanchez tends to be one of those that is a bit of a worry. But apart from that, he was okay. He won a fair few headers. As normal, the thing that Sanchez does really well is his ability to rush out and block shots. He commits himself into that well. So I thought he did okay. Eric Dyer, for the most part, did his job. However, he did give the ball away in the Wolves half under pressure in the second half. And that resulted in that big chance for Adama Traore that we saw Hugo Lloris stop. Attacking wise, he wasn't too bad in their box from set pieces. Got on the end of a couple. We had one cleared off the line. From the corner at their end. Pretty much did okay. Nothing spectacular, but we come away with a clean sheet. So he's obviously done his job. He come out and he made some blocks as well. Reguilon, he did okay as well. There was plenty of the times where he makes these interceptions. Like, it comes out of nowhere. The ball will be played and it'll be nowhere near the player, and he just makes a bursting sprint through, and he makes the interception and goes either on a little bit of a run, or plays the ball and we continue, or he loses it. But he did all right. He actually picked out Dele Alli with a nice ball for the penalty, where Dele Alli was brought down. But yeah, mostly he did his part as well in the defence. So back four, clean sheet. They've done their job for the day. Oliver Skipp, he's just got bags of energy. He's everywhere, isn't he? He's like a little feisty pit bull. Yeah, I still don't think he's found his complete confidence in the Spurs squad yet. He's nowhere near the Oliver Skipp that we saw at Norwich last season, but I think that's just going to come with time. He's settling into a different squad, a different way of playing, better players around him. He actually sent Semedo completely sprawling with a shoulder-to-shoulder challenge. There was a penalty appeal for that, but the referee waved it away. VAR looked at it, nothing. He got a weird yellow card, actually, later in the game. There was a tackle on Traore, and I was watching it thinking, that's a quality tackle. Wrapped around him, he got the ball, come away with it, started to edge away, and the referee booked him like a bit of an absolute joke. But look, for a 20-year-old that, has grown up and been around Spurs through the youth ranks and stuff. He went on loan, learnt his trade last season. He's come back. Look, he looks good for the moment. Like, he's just played Man City at home and then gone and played Wolves away. He's had decent minutes for us over pre-season. He looks like he's going to be a good player. I don't know if he's quite ready to start every single game. But then when you look at who else is there to come on, Sissoko's not going to play because we're looking to get rid of him. Winksy is a maybe. We don't really know what's going on with him, but he's certainly not favoured at the moment. So Skippy's going to get game time. And he does look good. He's got lots of enthusiasm. And next to Højbjerg is probably the best person to be next to, because the guy is just, he leads by example. So we'll move on to him next. Like, he battled away. That's what he does. That is Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg. He was brought in to battle, be our defensive cover. Just that line to cut things out. He took a yellow card for the team with his foul on Silva when they were on the break. That was quite late on. He also nutmegged the defender in the box at the other end, and he had his shot deflected away. Not something that we traditionally know Højbjerg for, but we know he's got it in the bag. He's a bit more technical than he gets credit for. Moving on to Dele Alli. What can we say? He's not He's not the Dele Alli that once was, but I will say there is a slight resurgence going on. He is looking a better player. He obviously went away and got himself fit, which we're very impressed with in the off-season. Instead of going away having like this lovely holiday and that, he went away and trained really hard in a brilliant location, don't get me wrong. Like, we would all love to be training out in Dubai. But he looks different. He's the energy was good. He was absolutely everywhere, running round, covered most of the pitch, making the late runs into the box, won the penalty. There is an argument as to whether he bought the penalty or not. I mean, the penalty, it could have been... It's one of those where if it's given, you can see why. If it's not, you can see why. So he made the run into the box, took the touch out. He knew the keeper was rushing out. So he knocks the ball to the side, but his momentum, it took him straight into the goalkeeper. I think he knew what he was doing, because when he touched that ball to the side, your natural movement would take you towards the ball because you've knocked it that way. You need to go to the ball, but he didn't. Carried on into the goalkeeper, but nonetheless, they can't complain the penalty was given. And then Dele Alli himself is the man that stepped up. Normally, I would have expected Sonny to take it, but I think he was carrying a slight knock. We'll talk about it in a bit, and I think that might be why he didn't take it, and also because Sonny's a nice guy. Dele Alli seemed confident. He stepped up. Lovely penalty. Keeper went the wrong way. He's curled it into the bottom corner. So a happy Dele. Steven Bergwijn. I thought he was all right. He had chances. There was some good link-up play. There was that fantastic bit of skill that he did out on the wing in the second half, where there was sort of like three men near him. He sort of went past two and then done this little like drag and flick and burst through. He had moments inside the box where, there was a couple of shots that were blocked. He then rolled it back for Sonny, who couldn't make the most of it. And I think he's growing in confidence. He's getting there. We're starting to see the Bergwijn, or he's headed in the direction of the Bergwijn that we wanted to see when we signed him. He's rapid at the end of the day. There was a moment where I think Lloris had the ball in hand and just kicked it upfield to him. Defender misread it. He's then gone through it. It hasn't come to anything in the end. Like, we haven't scored from it, obviously. But this is what we want him to do. We want him to be making them runs, and it's great for us because when we're on the counter and you've got the pace of him, Sonny, and Moura all on the pitch at the same time, it's unreal. So let's move on to Moura next. Poor game, I would say. I don't know what was wrong with him today. A lot of times he tried to take people on. It just wasn't happening for him. He ran the ball out into touch a few times. It just wasn't at it today. It wasn't quite the Moura that we've seen of late, but that could be down to anything. Might have just not been feeling it. Could have picked up a knock during the week and was playing through it. But there was just something about him that was missing. His link-up play wasn't great. He wasn't driving at people in the way he normally does. It was just an off game for him. But we'll let it slide. He's done wonders for us at times. Champions League semi-final, shall we say. So we can forgive him an off game every now and again. And then on to Sonny. Not as productive as he could have been. But then that's probably down to the fact that he was feeling a slight niggle before the game. So mobility-wise, he probably wasn't offering as much as he normally does. Was worried about aggravating the injury more, shall we say. I think that would have been in the back of his mind for the whole game, which is probably why we didn't get more out of him. And then on top of that, Wolves slotting into a 5 at the back all the time. There's just not the space that he's used to. So, not the best game from him today. Subs-wise, Lo Celso come on and did okay. Harry Kane come on. It added a slightly different dimension to the game. He did have a chance where he went through, but by the time he pulled the trigger, he was quite close to the goalkeeper, who then made the save. I could see what he was trying to do to bend it round into the right corner. Keeper got down well and saved that. Winksy, it was just kind of like a really short cameo, so nothing to really talk about there. But yeah, I think we coped with the pressure of Wolves well. The fact that Hugo only really had that one massive save to make. A lot of their shots were high and wide. On another day, they might put a few away. But if Traore could score, shoot on target or anything like that, you'd be looking at someone absolutely lethal. The guy is just insane with the ball at feet at times. He's quick, he's strong. I remember the one where he was out there with Sanchez and Sanchez was kind of just trying to stand his ground whilst pulling on his shirt, and then was trying to make out that nothing had happened. And Adama Traore is just like laughing about it. He took it quite well. But look, he's a tough battler. He almost had a free roll today. He was kind of floating about across the midfield, trying to give both the fullbacks a hard time. He made some breaks through the middle. I thought Neves was pretty good. The defence of theirs is going to be solid with the amount they've got back there. You know, Connor Cody, Marshall in the line. I thought the keeper was okay. But yeah, they were relentless at times. They were really, really playing the ball well. Obviously, they've got the technical player of Moutinho in there, a player that we'd looked at signing in the past. So yeah, I think they did well, and I think we did well. I don't think it's that we played really badly. They just played really well, stuck to their shape, stuck to their game plan, and unfortunately for them, it just didn't come off, which is great for us. So let's just talk about what Nuno had to say briefly. I'm not going to talk about all of it. I'm just going to put it into concise points that, you know, we need to know about. So he was asked about Hugo, and he said, you know, he's made 300 appearances for the club. It's fantastic. Not many people get to do that anymore. Fantastic pro. He did the job with the save against Traore, the one-on-one. They were asked if Son was okay, because apparently he was seen limping off at the end of the game. He said he couldn't comment on that because he didn't actually see Sonny hobbling off at the end, but he did say that in the warm-up he had a strange feeling, but confirmed that he was okay to play. But they will assess him, obviously, to make sure the extent of the damage. Was asked about Dele. He said like he's working very hard, as are the rest of the team. He was running all over the pitch, even right at the end of the game, the last minutes. It shows his levels of fitness and the belief that he has in himself. Asked about Romero because he wasn't in the squad. He said Romero was fine after the Pacos de Ferreira game, but however in training he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't feel comfortable in training yesterday, but he's back getting treatment and he expects him to be back very soon. Asked about how he thought Kane did. He said Kane did well, helped the team. He is in the process of improving his levels of fitness, and we need everybody. Asked if Kane will play Thursday, because obviously we got the second leg against Pacos de Ferreira that we are currently losing 1-0. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Thursday, and he said it's too soon to tell. And I think this is going to be the answer about any player you ask if they're going to play the next game, because Nuno is very much we'll see what happens as the week goes on, see how they perform in training, if any injuries crop up, things like that. So I don't think you're ever going to get an answer out of him on certain players and whether they're going to play. Then he was asked about Wolves themselves. He said, look, they created us enormous problems. It was asked about Adama Traore and said that, Adama is unique and very hard to stop. And the guy he's an absolute beast, and his pace is absolutely ridiculous. You can see why there's a possibility that we're looking at him. My biggest problem with someone like Adama Traore is there is no end product most of the time. And we've had too many players over the years with that lack of end product. However, there is an argument for having a player like him in the squad. I mean, there's a reason why Spain took him to the Euros in the end. So, all in all, it's another win and another clean sheet without what we would call a full squad at the moment. Like, obviously, if Harry's going to stay, Harry will be playing more regularly. Romero's still got to come into the side, and we probably need another defender still anyway. So we'll see how it progresses. And obviously, we've got Skippy as a youngster. He's trying to, build his way into the squad. So there's still work to be done in the transfer market. So this team that has managed to pull off 2 victories and clean sheets in the first 2 games of the season is probably not the team that is going to end the season and continue to play on a regular basis. So all I have to say really is that from Nuno, it's a solid start. Some of his ideals are being implemented. So it's good signs at the moment. And I mean, even Dyer and Sanchez, like, they have their little wobbles every now and again, but on the whole, they're doing their job. They're winning their aerial battles. They're, making their blocks and stuff. Dyer's even trying to contribute from corners. So, look, it's all good to start with. There's not too much to grumble about, and we soaked up the pressure today completely. Whereas with Manchester City, they had to soak up our pressure because we're only playing the 4 at the back. We managed to hit them on the counter break time and time again, whereas Wolves were able to kind of absorb that, which is why we didn't have the space. But we didn't really have the players to kind of change the way we were playing because Kane wasn't going to play 90 minutes. Had Kane started, we could have taken up a different shape and could have hurt their defence a bit more. So it is what it is. We take it. It's a victory. It's 3 points. We're currently on 6 points. And Arsenal are having a very bad start to their season, so that makes us smile even more. So thanks for sticking around, guys. As I said before, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like and comment. And then I will talk to you again before the Pacosta Ferreira game, just to give you an update on any injuries and things like that. And then hopefully we actually smash them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, go through to the group stages, win that tournament, just get a trophy in that cabinet of ours that is just, cobwebbing itself away. It's just basically a home for spiders at the moment. So, a bit of positivity hopefully coming our way. So enjoy the next couple of days, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. And as always, come on, you Spurs.